Hello there, ladies and gents, gals and guys, dames and dudes. I have a different video today. It's not specifically for daughters and sons of narcissistic mothers, but I believe it's a video that could be useful for lots of people who struggle with self-sabotage and with like leaving everything, for later. I'll do that later. People who want to maybe launch a business or take some big step, but because of the self-sabotage, they don't quite know how to organize their inner energy and their mindset and everything in order to be the sort of proactive people that you would need to be in order to be successful in entrepreneurship, for example, or in anything else in your life. So I want to give you guys 6 tips for creating the habit of being proactive, because being proactive, like anything else, is a habit. So first and foremost, and this involves a huge mentality shift. The first mentality shift and the first tip that I'd like to give you is to face everything in your life with the following mentality. Regardless of who caused this situation or what my portion of responsibility is in it, how can I do my part? How can I contribute to its bettering? How can I make this a little bit lighter, better? So, sometimes we're stuck in this position where we're really resentful and angry because other people created a situation that's hard for us. And we believe that we have the right to be angry, and the correct response is just like sitting in that anger and being like, yeah, I'm right and they're wrong. But this isn't particularly empowering, because even though anger is a really important emotion and it can really push us towards change, it also needs eyes. It needs vision, it needs sight, because anger is blind. So if you're just sitting around feeling angry and angry and angry, you find that you waste a lot of energy, or powerless. You waste a lot of energy on something that doesn't actually generate results. So from the moment you start thinking, it doesn't matter who created this situation, what can I do to fix it, you automatically start training the habit of always looking for your power. You see the whole situation, all the crap in front of you, everyone and everything, and you're like, okay, regardless of everyone and everything, how can I fix it? How can I contribute? How can I do my part? And this is the first tip I'll give you in creating the habit of being proactive. Always ask yourself, what can I do? In a sustainable way, of course. We're not talking about taking on responsibilities that aren't your own, because you're not really going to be empowering yourself or anyone else, and you're going to feel overwhelmed. So it's about sustainable acts and attitudes that you can adopt in order to contribute to any situation. The second thing I'd like to remind everybody of is that whatever you do repeatedly becomes a habit. So for example, if you have the habit of saying things to yourself like, oh, when I start that business, then I'll be happy. Oh, when I have that lifestyle, then I'll get this, I'll get that, I'll feel this or that. Then what you're training your mind to do is to always expect happiness and peace and celebration and anything good to be at some point in the future. Now, I know that we have the concept of past, present, and future, but I'd like everyone to just pause a little bit and observe the fact that future and past are just concepts. They're concepts, they're constructs that we've created in order to have like a reference in the system of time that we use. But really, all there ever is this like never-ending present moment, this portal through which existence and experiences manifest, right? And it's always in the now. So what this means for our brain is, the more you're like, oh, when I have this or that thing, then I'll be happy. The more you do that, the less you're going to be able to actually connect with your now and find happiness in your now. And even if you do achieve whatever it is you set out to achieve, you will find that because you trained your mind to think that happiness is only in the future, when you receive what you've been trying to achieve, oftentimes you can't enjoy it, because like after a little bit of time, your mind is already like, oh, but when I have that other thing, then I'll be happy. And you're never happy. So being happy with your now is a habit. And the way that you become happy with your now is you always ask yourself, you think about where you're trying to go, and you think about the actions that are going to take you there, and then you ask yourself, how can I create that thing now? And maybe what you need to do now is take a first step, but it's really scary. So you're like, you don't feel ready to do the 100% yet, but you feel that you can do the 1%. Hey guys, so I was doing a live in the Facebook group, but I had like a connection issue. So I'm just gonna finish it now and then join the two clips and make one video for YouTube. So I'm just gonna keep on going here. So I was talking about, the fact that whatever you train, whatever you do regularly becomes your mind's habitual pattern to follow. So the third tip that I would like to mention here is for you to establish daily mindset rituals. Because I think oftentimes we have very unrealistic expectations regarding how we're going to go about creating change in our life. And then we'll like pay for retreats and workshops and courses and stuff, and we'll get this injection of energy, and then as time goes by we don't feel that energy anymore, and then oftentimes we're back at base one, at first base. Wait, that's not an expression. No, we're back at, what are we back at? You guys get what I'm trying to say, right? So the thing here is, if you don't have regular mindset routines, it's going to be really easy for your mind to go to negative patterns again, and for you to lose inspiration, and for you to not be sure what it is that you're working towards, what your objectives are, where your inspiration is, and why you're even alive or doing what you're doing. So, for example, some mindset routines that I've been doing this for almost 10 years. Every single time I wake up and when I'm taking a shower, it doesn't matter what happened in my day. It doesn't matter what my internal circumstances are or what my external circumstances are. I always force myself to think of three things that I'm grateful for. So sometimes I'm in bed in the morning, and sometimes your mind starts with really negative thinking from the get-go, like as soon as you wake up. And if you let it do that, then you'll just go downhill for the rest of the day, and you'll lose your energy and your focus. So I know that if I don't give my mind that injection of gratitude, then I'm not helping it along. Because just like, you need to exercise your body for you to have continuous benefits, right? Continuous health benefits. Your mind is the same way. You need to have certain habits in order to have continuous benefits when it comes to mindset. So I wake up and I think of three things. Even if I'm feeling sad, I think of three things that I'm grateful for. Even if they're small things, like my cat that sleeps with me, or the fact that I love what I do. I have a life that's full of things that I chose, that I picked myself. There's not a person or a thing or a job or anything that I do in my life that I did not handpick. So there's many things to be grateful for. Another thing that you can have as a mindset routine is visualization or journaling exercises where you describe in detail what your ideal life is. I know this may sound kind of woo, or like it's not very impactful at all, and I will argue that it is literally like one of the most impactful things ever if you want to maintain consistent motivation and traction and action towards what you're doing. Because like I said, oftentimes we can't find inspiration because we're out of touch with what we're creating. We don't really know where we're going. So if you go through the process of getting to know yourself, of getting to know your dreams, of getting to know what is and what isn't ideal for you, and of describing that and being able to hold that image and feel those sensations with the certainty that it's yours and with the determination to get it, then it's a lot easier to take the steps that you need to take on your 10,000-mile journey, because you start with the first step, but then there's all those other steps for all of that time. And how do you stay on track? Well, what is it that you're walking towards? You got to feel it. You got to feel it like it's real. Even though, sometimes you look around you and you don't see any sort of proof in your immediate environment at all that that's even possible for you. If you don't believe in the invisible first, if you're not able to connect to that emotionally and to feel the inspiration and to feel the gratitude that that's even possible for you before you receive it, feel gratitude because you have the image in your head and you have the dream inside you before you actually receive it, then it's going to be really, really hard for you to deal with all of the obstacles that are invariably going to pop up, because that's how you grow. That's how you get from point A to point B, by dealing with and facing all the obstacles that show up. And the obstacles that will show up are the specific obstacles that are going to make you develop the specific faculties, the specific skills that you're lacking in right now, and that you need to develop in order to be the sort of person at point B who is able to generate that reality for herself. So obstacles, when you know where you're going and why you're doing it, are accepted with open arms, because you understand that they're part of your personal curriculum of personal development. Whatever pops up between point A and point B is exactly what you need to work on. Another tip that I'd like to give you guys for developing the habit of being proactive is to find people to help you. And what I mean is find people who are trying to achieve the same thing, who are on the same path, who understand what you're going through. Don't expect sometimes your closest family and friends who aren't doing the same thing that you're doing to know where you're coming from and to know where you're going and why that's so important for you. Oftentimes, things can seem so lonely and like we're the only people in the world who have that objective. And when you connect to people and groups who also have similar objectives, then the impossible becomes possible. Then, you know, every day the steps you need to take, they become lighter, they become fun, because you share what you're going through, you share everything. It doesn't have to be a burden that you carry by yourself. Everything becomes a lot more exciting and a lot more like possible in our minds, you know. So find a group of people who get what you're doing and that you can give strength to and borrow strength from. The next tip I'd like to give you, and I kind of already talked about this, and it's being clear on what you want. You can be absolutely sure that if you feel stagnant in life, it's either because you don't really know what you want, you don't know what to connect yourself emotionally to. You don't have a why behind what you do, you know? Or you're stuck somewhere with regards to the clarity of your vision. We don't know ourselves. I think very, very few people are born knowing what they want. And the rest of us, we have to go through this process of like differentiating between what the world tells us we're supposed to want and what we actually do want, what's more compatible with our nature, with the way our mind works, with, you know, or the things that we're naturally attracted to. So take the time to ask yourself what you want. And an excellent exercise for this is to imagine yourself in your ideal day. So imagine 24 ideal hours. When you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? What are the activities you want to be engaged in your mornings? Is there someone lying next to you? What's that ideal life like? When you look at that person, what do you feel with regards to that person? What do you think about yourself, about life, about what is and isn't possible for you? What time do you wake up? You know, what sort of room do you wake up in? How much money do you have to have in order to have a room like that? Do you need to focus on something regarding generating an income? What is it that you need to focus on in order to generate the vision that you're trying to make real? So take the time to ask yourself, and this is an excellent exercise, you know, imagining 24 perfect hours, what it is that you want to fill those 24 hours with. And then as you include different elements in this vision, and then you kind of monitor the way that you react emotionally to each one of those elements, you start to gain clarity about what really is part of your ideal life and what isn't part of your ideal life. Because we have lots of ideas in our heads about things we think we want, and it's not really what we want. And so take the time to get to know yourself so you can have that clarity about your objective. And then hold that image in your mind and in your heart and in the feelings of gratitude and excitement that you feel all the time. Hold that image. Another way, my last tip for being proactive, let me drink some water here, is to actively look to fill more space than would be necessary. Fill more than your space. You know, what does this mean? It's another way of saying, ask yourself, how can I bless this transaction? How can I bless this exact moment that's before me right now? So this puts you in a state of mind where no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're dealing with, you're always trying to find a way of blessing that. And that means offering your best energy, offering your best light. So I'll give you a practical way that I do this. I'll tell you a personal story that happened today. I have a neighbor, and today I had to buy some makeup, and then I was stepping out of my house, and my neighbor was right outside my gate, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I had a problem with my wheel, and I had to fix my wheel, and you know how much it costs to fix that?" And then he started complaining. Now, if I want to be the light wherever I am, if I want to feel more than my place, because what many people would do is just like kind of validate what he says, like, "Oh yeah, man, times are tough, oh, that sucks, whatever." But that's not really feeling more than your place. You're not really being a source of light, But then I asked myself, how can I be a source of light here? And I realized that he was going to this really negative thinking of like, "Oh man, this was expensive, whatever." So I told him, "Yeah, but think about it. You have the money for it. Isn't that amazing? Don't you feel blessed? Because you had a problem and you were able to fix it because the money was there." And immediately he was like, "Yeah, man, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Everything's fine." Or for example, another example, there's a coffee shop I go to before I work out, and everyone's used to me, and everyone knows that when I'm there, I want my black coffee, my espresso coffee, without sugar, without sweetener, without anything else. And they come and they give me my coffee. And if I were like I was a few years ago, or most people, I might like get lost in my own world, and when the guy or the girl leaves me my coffee, I might be looking at my cell phone and just like say, "Ah, thank you," in any way. But if I want to fill more than my space, if I want to be a source of light in every single transaction, then I need to actively bless that moment. So I have a habit. When people bring me my food, my coffee, whatever, I put my cell phone down. I take my earbuds out and I look at the person. I say, "Obrigada." Obrigada means thank you. I live in Brazil, so I speak Portuguese. And I look them in the eye and I say thank you. And I can see from their smiles, and I can see from the happiness that's generated when I step into that coffee shop. Every time I step in there, they're like, "Hey!" I can see that I am successfully blessing that moment. So how can you bless each individual transaction, each individual moment? So those are my 6 tips for being proactive. Number 1, remember, doesn't matter who caused the problem, how can you contribute? Always try to find your power. Number 2, train the correct habits. The correct habit is figuring out what 1% you can do right now and not imagining that success or happiness is at some other point in the future. The third tip is create daily mindset routines. This is essential. It's like exercise. Your body needs exercise. Your mind needs exercise. The next tip is find a group that understands what you're doing. Connect with that group. Meet up with them regularly, online or otherwise. The other tip is be absolutely clear about what it is that you're trying to create. Take the time to get to know yourself, to get to know your image, your vision of an ideal life. And the last tip is, no matter what's going on, where you're at, who you're dealing with, how small it seems, ask yourself, how can I actively bless this transaction? So that's it for today, ladies and gents, folks, people. If you like this video, then like it, share it. It could be important for someone else. If you want more tidbits of light and information, practical, actionable information in your inbox, then I have a mailing list. You can subscribe to it in the link in the description of this video. And also let me know if you want any sort of information on anything. I make videos on how to heal from the psychological wounds caused by having been raised by a narcissistic mother. But I also work with mindset for entrepreneurs. So if you feel that you're stuck or that you can't find the will, the motivation, the focus, or the self-esteem to take the steps towards whatever dream you're trying to achieve, then let me know in the comments and I will be more than happy to make videos for you or to explain whatever could be useful. So that's it. Thank you. Till next time.